Well, hello again. I am at the barn right now. Anybody with livestock knows that there are responsibilities associated with an animal, like feeding and cleaning, and if they are a sport horse exercising. So I am at the farm right now, and we are going to meet Gabriel, my horse. I thought it would be a great opportunity to introduce you to the equestrian sport, teach you a little bit about horses and what you need to do. Let's go meet him. Here is Gabriel. He's a little too close, so I can't get him all in. He's probably a 17-hand Oldenburg. Hi, Gabe. You want to say hello today? Yeah. Trying to get a nice headshot, but he keeps moving. So Gabe eats Timothy grass or hay, hoe, and rice bran, which is kept in this bucket here. And it's like rice. It's chopped up into a powder and you add water. And he also gets Nano E, which is a liquid vitamin E to help with neurological things and healthy skin and coat. So we're just waiting here. Gabe would like to come out. I will put his halter on him. That's this piece that goes over his face, and I can lead him with the rope, called a lead rope. Somebody else is in the cross ties that we'd like to use, and I'm going to wait until that person is tacked and out before we go into the same area. So safety gear when you're riding, you can obviously see my helmet. Anytime that you're on a horse or an animal, you should be wearing a helmet. Horses are prey animals, which means they're not at the top of the food chain. They're hunted in the wild, and so they have the opportunity and do spook at things that they're unfamiliar with. And so it's always good to have a helmet on in case you accidentally fall off when you're not expecting it. Sometimes the other thing that I wear is a vest. Here I've got this is a lunge line. This is for making the horse go in circles to exercise it. Here is a jumping vest. The rule here is that you have to be in a lesson to do jumping, and I'm only jumping low, so I predominantly wear on my other horse that I've come off a couple times on just because he gets a little bit crazy. This is a bridle, and a bridle is different than a halter. A halter, you just have the horse's face in that, and you can lead him with a lead rope. I'll show you what the halter looks like as soon as we get it on. But the bridle, hold on one second here, I gotta pull this apart. Somebody tightened it way up. The bridle goes over the horse's face, and usually it's got a bit. This part here, this metal part, goes in the horse's mouth. So the bit, there are many different bits, and some bits are softer than others. This one is actually a pretty gentle bit, just a loose ring snaffle, or French link here. And the bit is attached to the reins. Some, I don't know if they're called bridles, a hackamore, I don't think they use a bit. And it's just pressure on the horse's nose, and that can direct him where to go. When you steer a horse, you do use the reins, but most of the pressure for steering comes from your legs. Horses move off pressure, and you should be using your legs substantially more than your hands. The other tack that we will be using will be a girth. The girth goes on and attaches the saddle to the horse. This goes around his belly. Saddle pad here goes down first, and then you have a saddle. This is an English saddle that I ride in. The saddle is smaller than a Western saddle. I can show you a Western saddle in a second here. So an English saddle looks like this right here. Little seat, and I can pull the stirrups down when I'm on. Okay, so here is an English saddle pad, and then this half pad can go on. It's just supposed to help take up extra room in case the saddle doesn't fit quite properly. I like to use it anyway for a little bit more cushion for me and between me and the horse, and then the saddle goes on top of that, and I'll show you what that looks like when we get it on, Gabe. Western tack. Here is a Western saddle pad. It's substantially thicker. You can see the diameter there, and looks like they don't have a Western saddle in here at the moment. Here is Brawley, and he is wearing a Western saddle. You can see the horn coming out of the top, has a very pronounced seat where you sit, and the stirrups are quite a bit bigger than the English version. Oh, the other thing I didn't show you was a bareback pad. This isn't really a saddle. There aren't any stirrups on this. It just provides some cushioning and something to hold on to. It's got a girth right here that goes around the belly of the horse as well. And you can just put this right on the horse's back. I like to put some foam underneath because Gabe is so bony and his spine is painful if you just sit on it and alone. This is called a tack box. It's got grooming supplies in it to groom the horse before you tack it up. So in here I've got grooming gloves right here. These are just garden gloves that I use so that my hands don't get filthy. This is a hoof conditioner that I apply after I ride to the coronet band. The coronet band is where the nail grows out of the foot on the horse. I'll show you where that is. And I also do the inside of the hoof. The frog is the triangle on the inside. I'll show you what that looks like. This is just to keep the nail conditioned so that it doesn't dry out. In dry weather it's important, and in wet weather it's important, both of which we have here in the Puget Sound. Hairbrush. You can actually use any hairbrush on your horse. I like to use wet dry. They do make horse brushes, but if you buy a horse brush, it's typically 2 or 3 times the regular price of a hairbrush. Here is a curry comb. Curry comb has little plastic teeth or nubs, and you rub this in a circular pattern on the horse to remove exfoliating hair. Right now, Gabe has been shedding pretty heavily since we're coming out of winter. Horses shed, I was told, when the light changes, not necessarily due to temperature change. So the days are getting a little longer and the shedding process begins. This is a coarser brush. This is usually for the legs to get the grit and dirt off the legs. And this brush is a fine brush. This is to remove extra hair, dandruff, dust from the horse before you put on the saddle pad and saddle. I can show you how we use that. These are Gabe's boots. They give the horse legs down at the bottom a little bit more stability and support, but also protect the legs if you're working on different things with the horse. It just covers their leg down there and protects it from one of their hooves hitting another leg, which can happen. This is a hoof pick. Hoof picks are used to pick out the inside of the hoof that traps all the dirt and rocks. And you want to check your horse's feet before you ride so that there isn't anything lodged in there, and you can get a bruise if something has been in there for a while and it's jamming up into the hoof. Just like people, if you jump on something without shoes and hit your foot hard enough on the bottom, you can also get a bruise on the bottom of your foot. And that hurts. So now I'm going to take out all the tack that we need for Gabe, and then we'll pull him out of his stall, groom him up, and tack him up. Alright, we're going to put Gabe's halter on here. Just goes right up over his nose, over his head. There we go. It's on. See, there's no bit in his mouth. And the strap on the bottom here just gets connected here. And then he's going to follow me on this lead rope. Obviously, he's been trained to do that. Most horses have. There's Gabe. He's got long elf ears. And he's got a blanket on. In temperatures that vary, some horses may need blankets in the winter. Gabe doesn't grow a very long winter coat. His hair is actually very fine and pretty thin. So there are other horses that get quite shaggy. He does not, so he needs a little extra insulation to keep him warm during the days and cold nights. I've got my grooming gloves on. I'm going to use the hoof pick. I like to start with his feet when it's cold so he can keep his blanket on longer. I'm going to ask for his hoof by grabbing the back of his hoof here, and he's just going to pick it up for me. Oh, he picked up the other one. Lucky me, he's so tall I can pick both feet on the same side that I'm standing on. Most people would have to walk around and do the other side. So with this, you can see how much junk is in there. I'm going to pick a bit and I'll show you when it's cleaned out. I can't hold the camera and hold his hoof at the same time. See all of this stuff that came out of his feet. And pick this one up again so you can see what the frog looks like. This is what the inside of his foot looks like. Here, he's got this triangular shape, which is called a frog. Inside of his hoof there, and then his shoe goes on the outer part that he's standing on. That's the part that comes in contact with the ground. The frog actually helps pump blood around the hoof. When he compresses the frog by walking on it, it helps circulate the blood in his hoof. This triangular piece is the frog. Here's my boy. We're going to brush his hair now. I'm going to just grab the hairbrush here and brush his hair just like people hair. His mane is getting a bit long. Sport horses usually keep their mane short. For grooming purposes, it's easier not to have to brush it out every single day. The comb I talked to you about is this comb here. I'd like to use the little fine ends, and you rub in a circular pattern just like this to get the extra hair, or you can rub like this, either or. The extra hair off. You can see some coming off there. Look at his brush, he is shedding. Okay, Gabe is almost ready. He's missing his bridle. He's got his boots on, all 4 feet. His saddle is on. You can see the girth down here. Here's the saddle pad. This is the half pad underneath, and then the saddle on top. I will lower the stirrups when we get into the arena. I think I'm going to swing him by his stall for a little bit of eating before, because I can hear his tummy growling. Horse this big eats a lot. So Gabe is getting a little bit to eat before we go. I feel like he's in a much better mood if he's not starving while we're riding. I think he gets a couple flakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Flake usually goes by weight, but I think maybe around 2.5 pounds of flake. I'm guessing at that, I'm not 100% sure. But you can see how tall he is. The video camera is at right at my eye here, and I can't see over the horse. Okay, I'm back from the barn, and to see riding, watch part 2.